and gentlemen who are online, we would like to welcome you to the Britam Unit Trust AGM, our 7th, and we are live. So allow me to kick off this meeting, and we're going to start with a word of prayer from my colleague, Collins Mark Namanya. Over to you, Collins. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 7th annual AGM of Britam Asset Managers. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of this day, for the opportunity to gather for the 7th annual general meeting of Britam Unit Trust Funds. We are grateful for your guidance, protection, and provision throughout the financial year ended 31st December 2025. As we commence this meeting, we humbly ask for your wisdom and understanding. Guide the discussions, presentations, and decisions that will be made today. Grant clarity of thought to the board, management, unit holders, and all stakeholders present. Bless the work of Britam Asset Managers and those entrusted with the stewardship of the investors' funds. May integrity, transparency, and accountability, sound judgment continue to guide every action taken in the best interest of all our unit trust holders. We pray for continued growth, stability, and prosperity for the funds and for the financial well-being of all our investors. May the insights shared today help us build a stronger future and create a lasting value for all. As we conduct this meeting, virtually and physically, grant us a spirit of cooperation, respect, and meaningful engagement. Let our deliberations be productive and our resolutions beneficial to all concerned. We commit this AGM into your hands and ask for your blessings upon every participant. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Collins, for that powerful prayer. We are going to start our meeting with the national anthems. I'm going to request that those in the room, wherever you are, those who are watching us online, we're going to stand up as we listen to our national anthems. Thank you.
Twaomba unilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. So we're going to proceed to the next item on our agenda, and allow me to invite our chair for this meeting to take it up from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony, Company Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished unit holders, esteemed guests, and respected colleagues, good morning to everyone joining us today. My name is Anisha Shair Mhozi. I'm a fellow unit holder for over 8 years with the Britam Unit Trust, and I'm humbled and honored to be chairing today's meeting. It's my honor to welcome each and every one of you to the 7th AGM of the Britam Unit Trust Funds. As we gather here today, we are going to reflect upon the progress and achievements of the funds, which are the Britam Money Market Fund, the Britam Umbrella Yield Fund, the Britam Fixed Income Money Market Fund UGX, and the Britam Fixed Income Money Market Fund USD. Before we proceed, allow me introduce the team that is up here with me today and some of our key service providers. We have the management team for Britam and professional advisors of the funds assembled here today. And I will start off with Ms. Peace Gakwaya, the Chief Executive of Britam Asset Managers Company, Uganda. We have Mr. Anthony Mwebaze seated next to me, the Head of Legal and Company Secretary. We have Mr. Elvis Wambongo, part of the investment team, Britam. We have Ms. Rona Wamala Florence, the Finance Manager. We have, I have another lady from Britam. Welcome. Sorry. EY. Oh, okay, fair enough. Then we have KCB Bank Uganda Limited Corporate Trustee. I think they're joining us shortly. And then we have Ernst & Young, our auditor. They are our external auditor. And then we have Standard Chartered Bank, our custodian, represented by Ms. Roslyn Ochola. Welcome. Then we have Stanbic Bank, our custodian, represented by Mr. Pascal Magoba. And then on the sign language, we have our sign language interpreter, Ms. Maureen Nambalira. You're all welcome. With those few remarks, I call upon our company secretary, Anthony, to ascertain whether there is quorum for this meeting before we can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Anisha. Unit holders, Chair, I'd like to confirm that the required quorum for each of the 4 funds has been duly met. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. With the confirmation of the quorum, I declare this meeting to be properly convened and constituted. I once again call upon the company secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It will be my pleasure. Unit holders, thank you so much. And below is the notice. The notice of the annual general meeting was published on our website and also in the New Vision on the 21st of May, 2026, in line with the trust deed and scheme particulars. May I request that unit holders take the notice of this meeting as duly read. The highlights of the notice are as below. Number 1, to read the notice convening the meeting, which is what I'm doing right now. Number 2 is to receive, consider, and if deemed fit, adopt the annual report and the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2025, together with the auditor's report, the custodian and trustees' report thereon. And the third item is to transact any business that the Britam Unit Trust funds of which due notice has been received. So, Chair, thank you, and that is the notice convening the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I now take this opportunity to invite the Britam Asset CEO, Ms. Peace Gakwaya, and her team to make the presentations towards this AGM. Welcome, Peace.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, unit holders, service providers, and colleagues. We're delighted to have everyone here, and it's a pleasure to welcome you and thank you for your continued trust and partnership. We meet today in a dynamic operating environment, and our focus remains clear: safeguarding your dreams and aspirations. This is through the responsible management of your investment, strong governance, long-term value creation, every step of the way. So allow me to go into our presentation where I'll be giving you an update of the business. In terms of who we are, we can go to the presentation, please. So in terms of who we are, our footprint, Britam Holdings is a leading diversified financial services company, and we are listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. We are happy to note that we are in more than 5 countries: Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, South Sudan, Malawi, and Mozambique. Moving on, our solutions are basically for each journey of your life, coming from pensions, health, insurance, investments, and trust, which is the new business that we are working through. In terms of Britam Asset Management, we were incorporated in Kenya in April 2004, and in Uganda, we've been in this market for more than 7 years. As Uganda, we have been managing over 500 billion Uganda shillings, and this is investments from yourselves, people who have trusted us along the way to be part of their journey every step of the way. Moving on, we are delighted, and this award is not just for us, but it's something that we share with all of you. We have been voted top employer twice, 2 years in a row, and this is something we don't take for granted. Allow me to then move on to why are we here and who is behind the team. Kindly meet the team that does all the work behind the scenes. This comes from business development, investments, finance, operations, and all the other supporting functions along the way. This is part of the team that supports us to make sure that we are able to deliver and give you exceptional service and returns along the way. Moving on, in terms of our journey, we have various solutions that we offer, both retail, corporate, institutional, and real estate. Today, our focus will basically on retail, where we are looking at the unit trust funds, which are staggered in different ways to meet our various needs because we are all unique. We have the money market funds, we have the umbrella funds, we have those funds that are more long-term for people who are looking at having money away for a longer period of time. Speaking of our corporate or institutional business, we don't forget about retirement and the pension umbrella. Retirement for people who are looking at having their standalone provident funds, and also for those institutions that are looking at taking advantage of the pension umbrella. Britam Asset Managers offers this solution to you. In terms of our journey, this is basically our journey over the past few years, and we are happy to note that we are doing this through the regulation and our governance structure. If we look at our governance framework, at the top, we will be looking at our trustees and our regulator. Our regulator in Uganda is Capital Markets Authority. We are also licensed and regulated by the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. We have our trustee. The role of the trustee is basically for oversight of these different service providers. We have the custodians, we have the auditors, and I'm happy to note that those have given us their time to join us during this meeting. And who makes this money grow? That is us, the fund manager, who ensures that we do our fiduciary duty to make sure we have investment decisions to grow your return, but also cater for your risk appetite. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move on, our strategic commitment to you is disciplined fund management despite the dynamic operating environment, governance and oversight, operational resilience, client experience, and actually allow me to say client obsession, making sure that we improve every touch point for you through the Britam ecosystem. Then the strategic growth platform, advancing investor education, partnerships, and allowing you to grow through your investment journey. Ladies and gentlemen, as I go into our next presentation, which is basically our digital platforms, you asked and we answered. Allow me to share the screen and just show you our digital platforms, what we've been doing in the past year, and we continue to enhance this and continue to take your feedback so that we are able to serve you at every touch point that we can find you. We have the Bella, and the screen will be playing these different platforms for us to be able to take note of. through. Thank you very much. And as I briefly go through these, allow me to also let you know that very soon we are saying goodbye to paperwork, and you'll be able to receive your payments via mobile money. Just to give you a brief on how to get started, the slides will basically be showing you, you can start with your phone. You'll be able to download the app, and this app is available both on the Apple Store and the Google Play. Our digital investment channels include the Britam app. This is both on Android and iOS, where you can basically track your investments, make top-ups, view your reports. Moving on to our client portal. Our client portal is basically web-based. For those who don't want to download number of apps on their phone, you're able to use the web browser, where you'll see full management of your account. You can download statements, and this is available 24/7. The last is very exciting, and that's our friend Bella, which was launched this year. This is basically a WhatsApp chatbot, which is 24/7. You can use those QR codes to access and continue to share with us feedback, because that's what helps us make more improvements to our different platforms. For Bella, please save this number, +256 793 192 592. So what you have to do is just say hi and then follow the prompts. Through Bella, you can create an account. For our existing unit holders, you'll be able to see all the different accounts that you hold. You'll be able to top up, view your statements, and also make withdrawals. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move on to the next presentation, allow me to also share that we remain committed to safeguarding the dreams and aspirations. And today you'll be hearing the full story. Basically the numbers, what do these numbers mean? The market context, the macros for those who are interested in knowing where the economy was and where it is. You'll be able to hear from the auditors, the trustees, and the different custodians for the different funds. What does managing money mean to us? This is a question I want all of us to reflect. It's basically managing someone's plans. It may be their children's education, it may be their health, it may be their business capital, or it actually may be their retirement. Ultimately, their peace of mind. This is the privilege we hold as Britam asset managers every single day, and we're excited that you trust us to continue working together with you. At this juncture, allow me to get into the story for the numbers and invite our part of our investments team, represented by Elvis, to take us through a bit of the macros and what happened last year and the commitment that this year will be a better year. Over to you, Elvis. Thank you.
Thank you, Peace. Good morning, unit holders. Thank you. Good morning to our unit holders, corporate trustee, service providers, and everyone in the house. As earlier mentioned by Chair, my name is Elvis Wamboga, and it's my pleasure I'll be taking us through the macros and the fund performance for the year 2025. Yeah, as a fund manager, developments within the economy greatly affect how we perform, and also like they do inform the returns which our dear investors will go back home with. So the main macros that we are going to focus on today are mostly looking at GDP, inflation, currency, and interest rates. And in terms of GDP, we did see that GDP did rise to 8.5% in the last quarter of 2025 from 4.8% in the previous quarter. And this was mostly driven by growth through all the sectors in the economy, meaning that the growth was not supported by a single sector, though it was a broad economic growth. We did see that the industry was the main driver, accounting for over 35.8% of total growth, followed by agriculture 25.6%, taxes at 20.6%, and services at 18%. Average GDP growth for the year was at 6.8%. In 2026, we do anticipate GDP to remain strong between 7% to 8.5%, mostly supported from oil production revenue, industrial and service momentum, plus stable inflation and improving credit. The upside or the downsides to this is mostly looking at the current ongoing geopolitical tension, mostly the Iran-US conflict, which we have seen how it has affected us in terms of the oil supply, which has led to spikes in the oil prices, which may have an impact on the GDP growth in 2026. Then moving on to inflation. Inflation is also one of the key indicators because it does determine the real returns which an investor will go home with at the end of the day. We did see that in 2025, inflation remained stable and contained below the Bank of Uganda midterm target of 5%, creating a favorable economic environment. Core inflation stayed subdued below 4%, which was mostly aided by the moderate food prices and the softer global oil costs. Low inflation pressures returns on bonds and money market funds, which reduce uncertainty for the long-term investors. In terms of outlook for 2026, we do anticipate inflation to remain below the BOU midterm target of 5%, between 3.8 to 4.3% for the full year 2026. However, the main risk around this still remain the ongoing conflict, where we have seen inflation picking up, increasing by small margins of 0.2% month on month. Main contribution coming in from the energy, fuel, utilities, which is posing an upside risk. Then moving on to currency, we did see that in 2025 the Uganda currency was more stable. We did see it appreciating against the US dollar by 2.5% year on year, and roughly by 0.6% against the euro and the pound, approximately at 3,497 for the dollar and 4,132 for the pound. In terms of the FX reserves, we did see that the reserves went up to 4.3 billion, which roughly represents 3.2 months of import cover by the close of 2025, growing significantly from earlier years. This was mainly due to the aggressive foreign exchange accumulation and heavy capital inflows during the year. The outlook, we do still anticipate that the Uganda shilling is expected to experience some mild depreciation pressures through 2026. This is mostly due to the escalating geopolitical conflicts in the Middle East, where we have seen it's threatening the supply lines, increasing global oil import bills, and causing short-term corporate dollar holding. Can move on the next slide. In terms of the money market and fixed income rates, Uganda's fixed income market remained attractive through 2025, supported by a stable central bank rate of 9.75%. We did see that the CBR rate was kept at 9.75% by Bank of Uganda throughout the year, and then controlled inflation, which was below 5% throughout the year, and strong demand from institutional investors. We did see treasury bill yields ranging between 10% to 12% for the 91-day T-bill, 13 to 14% for the 182 T-bill, and we did see them going up to 15.2% for the 364-day treasury bill. Government bonds yields also remained elevated. We did see that the mid-term bonds yield averaging between 14 to 16%, and the long-dated bonds offering up to 16 and 18%, reflecting the tight liquidity conditions, but then also the heightened risk premiums. This was mostly because we're approaching the election period, and investors were demanding for an extra premium risk compensation for the risk associated to the elections. The outlook for 2026, we have seen that yields have decreased across both the short-term and the long-term tenors in 2026, as government has become more disciplined in managing its borrowing costs and also less willing to accept high yields at auction. We have also seen that in addition, political uncertainty that characterized the pre-election period has largely subsidized, which has also kind of improved the investor confidence, reducing on the risk premium demanded by the market. These all have led to decrease on the yields, both on the short term and the long term in 2026 currently where we stand. Then moving on to some of the key drivers in 2026, we do anticipate that GDP projection will be between 6.8 to 8.5%. This is mostly going to be fueled by agriculture services, but also the anticipated oil production revenue, which we are supposed to be getting starting this year. Core inflation is also expected to be kept stable below the midterm target of 5%, which will help us to have a sustained demand for government borrowing, but also keeping our yields more stable. On the other side, the risks that we are closely monitoring, one is mostly around the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East conflict, around the Iran-US-Israel conflict, which has threatened supply lines and global oil import bills. The other one is on currency pressure. We have seen a mild UGX depreciation during this short time starting from February, and so it's also another risk that we are closely monitoring. And lastly, the fiscal deficit. As we all note that currently our budget, we are over 50% of our fiscal deficit. Then maybe just here to note that the general outlook is more constructive. We are having two positives on GDP and political, and then on the neutrals we have three: interest rates, currency, and inflation, meaning this can either turn out to be positive or negative depending on how government programs do play out during the year. And currently the negative one is the fiscal position, as currently we are between 6.2 to 7.5% of the GDP in 2025, and we are currently having a debt servicing which exceeds a third of the total revenues. Tax to GDP ratio is currently at 13%, which will mean that we need to increase on our revenue mobilization drive, as we also anticipate on the oil revenues expected from the second half of 2026, which could help to reduce on the deficit we have. And then looking on to our asset classes, we do have different asset classes in the economy. We have the cash and deposits, which have an expected return of 0 to 5%. These are highly liquid, but then with a low risk compared to the next one is the treasury bills or the short-term government securities. These have a expected return of between 6 to 14%, and then they are also government backed, meaning that currently we only have the government lending out on the short term. We don't have corporate papers. The next in the line is the unit trust. This is where we have the sweet spot with expected returns of between 19 to 13%. These are best for accessible balanced growth, and then they also have a low to medium risk compared to the ones above them, where we have real estate and listed stocks, which have a higher return, though with a higher risk attached to the return. Next. Then moving on to the fund performance. So this gives a fund selection matrix. This is a simple summary of the funds we have at Britam Asset Manage. We run as Britam Asset Managers. We have the Money Market Fund, Umbrella Fund, and the FIM, Fixed Income Money Market Fund, which are Uganda shillings denominated, and the Fixed Income Money Market, which is which is denominated in the US dollars. Liquidity profile for money market looks at people who are interested in saving for less than a year, but also with heavy liquidity needs, in that you'll be requiring to withdraw money in a very short time period, can be within weeks, months, though compared to the umbrella fund, which looks at people, investors with investment horizons for more than a year. And then the FIM UGX, this basically is one of our funds whereby you lock in your money for given periods. You can lock in your money for 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And then the US dollar, which is open-ended. The money market fund, umbrella, and US dollars are open-ended, in that you can either you have access to your money at any point in time. And then on the summary returns for 2025, the money market fund did have a return of effective return of 11.27%. The umbrella fund had a return of 11.63%. FIM went up to 13.29%, and the USD had a return of 4.79%. Then looking on to the money market fund in detail, the effective return for the year was 11.27%, consistently outperforming the traditional fixed deposits and also its benchmark. Total AUM at the close of the year stood at 38.5 billion, with 4.56 billion as profit for the year, or the interest which was distributed to the investors during the year. In terms of assets, majority of the assets were allocated in treasury bonds, having over 75%, followed by fixed deposits at 14%, and cash and call deposits at 12%. Next slide. And on to the umbrella fund. The umbrella fund had an effective return of 11.63%. Total assets under management stood at 85.4 billion Uganda shillings, representing a steady growth of 3.2% in the year 2025. We had a profit of 9.42 billion, representing the interest distributed to the unit holders in the fund during the year. Then assets under management, asset allocation, 80% was held by bonds, 10% fixed deposits, 9% was under cash and call deposits, and 1% was invested in treasury bills. Next slide. And moving on to the fixed income money market fund. Under the fixed income money market fund, here investors can decide to invest either under the 3 months, 6 months, or the 12 months. Under 3 months, it did have a return of 11.72%. 6 months was at 12.55%, and the 1 year or 12 month was at 13.29%. We can tell that these were above our traditional deposits, but also if you compare them with the short-term government securities, we are doing well, meaning they were very much competitive. In terms of AUM, AUM stood at 90.8 billion at close of the year. Then in terms of asset holding, 84% was invested in bonds, 11% in fixed deposits, 2% in cash and call deposits, and 4% in commercial papers. And then lastly, looking onto the fixed income money market fund, the US dollar, It had an effective return of 4.79% in the year 2025. Total assets under management stood at $3.5 million US, a strong growth from $2.4 million US in 2024. We had a profit for the year or interest distributed to the unit holders amounting to 128,156. In terms of the asset allocation for the USD, we have 22% under cash and call deposits, 30% invested in fixed deposits, and 49% was held under the treasury, the euro bonds. The fund recorded a growth from $2.4 million US to 3.5 in 2025. I would like to take this moment to thank you all for your continued confidence and trust in Britam as a fund manager. Thank you all for giving us your investments, and we look forward to safeguarding your investments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elvis, for that presentation. Unit holders, allow me to welcome Ms. Rona Florence Wamala, our finance manager, to present the financial report. Thank you.
Thank you, Peace. Good morning, unit holders. My name is Rona Wamala, and I'll be taking you through the financial performance of the different funds. So I'll start with the Britam Money Market Fund. On the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for your fund. So here we had total income for 2025 at 5.7, and just to give a brief background on how income is arrived at, this income, your income for 2025 is mainly determined by the asset allocation of the fund, the size of the fund from the unit holder investments that we receive from you, and the prevailing macroeconomic factors that determine the interest rates as specified by the previous speaker. So from the total income of 5.7 billion, there were expenses of 1.1 billion coming from service fees and the provision that we made for any impairment losses on investments. So the service fees are the fees of the stakeholders that we work with as we manage your fund. These are the license fees, the AGM fees, custodian fees, trustee fees, and management fees. So the profit before tax for 2025 for the money market fund was at 4.6 billion. And if we can move on to the next slide, where we have the statement of financial position. In simple terms, this is where your money was allocated. Your money are the assets. So for the year 2025, in the money market fund, the total assets were 39 billion. And of the 39 billion, we had 29 billion in government securities. Then we had 8.8 billion in deposits with financial institutions. These are the call deposits and the fixed deposits. Then the cash and bank balances were at 949 million. The liabilities for the fund as at 31st of December 2025 were at 82 million. These were the liabilities that had not yet been cleared as of the end of the year. So the assets attributable to you unit holders were 38 billion. Moving on to the Britam Umbrella Fund, for your statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, we had total income of 12 billion. This was coming from interest income, coming from the deposits that we placed the different assets. And then looking at the expenses, we had service fees of 2.1 billion and a provision for impairment loss of 115 million. So we closed at a profit before tax of 9.4 billion. Unit holders, this is the interest that was distributed to you for the year 2025. Looking at the statement of financial position, again, this is where we placed the investments that you trusted with us. For the umbrella fund, we closed at 85 billion. Of this 85 billion, 70 billion was in government securities, 15 billion was in deposits with financial institutions, and 745 million cash and bank balances. For the liabilities, for for the year ended 31st December 2025, we were at 179 million. So this closed the net assets attributable to unit holders at 85 billion. This is the money that we held for you as at 31st December in the umbrella fund. Moving on to the fixed income money market fund, UGX. This is our third fund. And for the statement of profit, here when we are looking at the total income, we have the interest income at 13 billion. Then the total expenses, again coming from the service fees for this specific fund, were at 1.6 billion, for the service fees. And the net impairment on investments was 1.3 billion. This closed at 2.9 billion position for total expenses. Then the interest we distributed to you unit holders in the whole year of 2025 was 10 billion for the fixed income money market UGX fund. Moving on to the statement of financial position for the FIM UGX fund, the total assets were 90.8 billion, and of these we had 76 billion in government securities. We had some corporate securities at 2.3 billion. Then we also had deposits with financial institutions at 12 billion, cash and bank at 129 million. The liabilities of this fund were at 309 million as of the end of the year. The net assets attributable to unit holders in this fund were 90.5 billion. Moving on to the Britam Fixed Income Money Market USD fund. This is our USD fund, the only offering in USD that we have at the moment. So for the statement of profit, we had total income. This is the interest income from the different deposits at $184,718. Of this, interest income was $168,903. The total expenses coming from service fees and the net impairment on investments was at $56,562. So when we look at the net position, the interest we distributed to you, dear USD unit holders, was $128,156. This is a growth from $82,103 in 2024. Looking at the statement of financial position as I conclude, for the investments that you trusted with us, these are the assets. They were distributed this way in 2025. The total assets were $3.5 million, with $1.7 million in government securities and $1.8 million in deposits with financial institutions. Then looking at the liabilities of this fund, liabilities stood at $68,154. So the net position or the net investments that we held for you unit holders were $3.5 million. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rona. Unit holders, allow me to hand this back to Chair. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Peace, Elvis, and Rona for those wonderful presentations. I hope the unit holders, we were all abreast with what is happening in the market and the progress. And I call upon all of you to sign up for any questions. If you have any clarifications or questions you would like to be answered, kindly go to the chat and ask them, and the team will be able to respond on the go or even later on. Thank you so much, the Britam investment team. At this point, I would like to invite our external auditors, Ernst & Young, represented by Ms. Frida Kagaba, to present to you their report or opinion for the year ended 31st December 2025. Welcome, Frida.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to you all. Good morning, unit holders. My name is Frida Agaba. I'm the engagement partner from Ernst & Young. And today I'll be presenting to you the audit reports for the Fixed Income Money Market Fund of UGX and USD, the Money Market Fund, and the Umbrella Fund Unit Trust Scheme. And if you'll allow, I'll walk you through the audit reports of the 4. I'll firstly confirm that all the reports were unqualified, and I'll be able to just walk you through the contents of them all. So we audited the financial statements of the funds as presented by fund management, and these comprise of the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2025, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in net assets attributable to unit holders, and the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including material accounting policy information. In our opinion, the financial statements of the funds present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the funds as at 31st December 2025, their financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with IFRS accounting standards and the requirements of the Capital Markets Authority Act and the Collective Investment Schemes Act and regulations. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, and our responsibilities under those standards are further described in a separate section in our report. We remained independent of the fund in accordance with our ethics requirements, and were able to fulfill all our ethical responsibilities for the fund. We believe that the audit evidence we obtained was sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. And in our report, we did include a key audit matter, and this was on accounting for financial investments. This was considered to be the key assets of the funds, and it was considered to be key due to the significance of the amounts involved. The annual report includes other information, and we indicate in our report that the fund manager remains responsible for this other information, and our opinion does not cover this, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. We also do include the responsibilities of the fund manager for the financial statements and our respective responsibilities as auditors of the fund, of the unit trusts. There's a separate section on our report on other legal and regulatory requirements, and this is a requirement of the Collective Investment Schemes regulations. We are required to report to you and consider and state that that the financial statements were properly calculated and exceed the requirements stipulated under the regulations. Proper accounting records were kept, and adequate systems for their control have been maintained in accordance with the Collective Investment Schemes regulations. The reconciliations of customer assets have been properly performed in accordance with the regulations. And based on the audit procedures performed, nothing came to our attention that led us to believe that the fund manager held client money or customers' assets during the period audited. And all information and explanations necessary for the purpose of the audit were obtained. And our report was signed on 31st of March 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frida. That was our external auditors, Ernst & Young. I would like to move on to the next agenda item, which is the confirmations of the trustees and the custodians. And I would like to request Humphrey and the production team to kindly display the confirmations, the various confirmations on the screen on the go. I take this opportunity now to invite our trustee, KCB Bank, represented by Mr. Patrick Sewanyana, to give their opinion. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. But permit me before I read out the report, to give a message from the trustee, that is KCB Bank Uganda Limited. I'm Patrick Sewanyana, representing the trustee for the Britam Unit Trust Funds. The representatives of the Capital Markets Authority online, the board and management of Britam Asset Managers online, the service providers here with me, distinguished unit holders, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to address you today on behalf of KCB Bank Uganda Limited in our capacity as trustee of the Britam Unit Trust Funds at this annual general meeting. Allow me to begin by thanking all the unit holders for your continued confidence and trust in the Britam Unit Trust Funds. Your commitment to long-term savings and investment remains a key driver of the growth and development of Uganda's collective investment schemes industry. As trustee, our primary responsibility is to safeguard the interests of unit holders by providing independent oversight over the management and operations of the funds. In fulfilling this mandate, we work closely with the manager, the custodian, the regulator, and other stakeholders to ensure that the funds are managed in accordance with the trust deed, scheme particulars, applicable laws, and regulatory requirements. I would like to commend Britam Asset Managers, Peace, and your team for the resilience demonstrated in navigating a challenging economic environment characterized by inflationary pressures, evolving market conditions, global economic uncertainties, and increasing investor expectations. Despite these challenges, the managers continue to manage the funds and remains committed to delivering value to you, the investors, while maintaining the stability and integrity of the schemes. At the same time, I wish to emphasize the importance of maintaining the highest standards of regulatory compliance, governance, risk management, and operational excellency. As the collective investment scheme sector continues to grow, stakeholders must remain vigilant in ensuring that all activities are conducted in full compliance with the regulatory requirements and industry best practices. Strong governance and a robust compliance culture are essential for protecting investor interests, sustaining confidence in the market, and supporting the long-term growth of the industry. To our valued unit holders, I encourage you to remain actively engaged in the affairs of your investments. Take time to review fund reports, understand the performance of the funds, and attend meetings and seek clarification whenever necessary. An informed investor is an empowered investor. We also encourage you to utilize the communication channels made available by the manager and to keep abreast of the developments affecting your investments. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda for its continued guidance, oversight, and commitment to the development of Uganda's capital markets and collective investment schemes industry. The authority's efforts in strengthening regulation, promoting investor protection, and fostering market confidence continues to play a critical role in advancing the growth and sustainability of the sector. As trustee, we remain available to all unit holders in the execution of our fiduciary responsibility. Should you encounter any concerns or challenges that are not satisfactorily addressed through the manager's established channels, we encourage you to engage with the trustee. We are committed to ensuring that investor concerns are handled fairly, transparently, and in accordance with the governing documents of the scheme and applicable regulations. As we look ahead, we remain optimistic about the prospects of the collective investment schemes industry in Uganda. With continued collaboration among regulators, fund managers, trustee, custodian, and the investors, we believe the industry will continue to expand its contribution to financial inclusion, long-term savings, and wealth creation for Ugandans. On behalf of KCB Bank Uganda Limited as trustee, I thank the board and management of Britam Asset Managers Uganda, the custodian, the Capital Markets Authority, and all unit holders for their continued support and cooperation. I wish you fruitful deliberations today and continued success in your investment journey. I'll now read my report as a trustee. Dear unit holders, in accordance with Section 121, Subsection 1 and Subsection 2 of the Collective Investment Scheme Unit Trust Regulations 2003 of Uganda, we, KCB Bank Uganda Limited, in our capacity as trustee of the Britam Fixed Income Money Market Fund, that's the Uganda for the local currency, hereby confirm that, as part of our fiduciary responsibility and ensuring regulatory compliance, we noted a breach in the investment limit in the government bonds. The fund's exposure to government bonds was at 83% against the scheme particulars limit of 80%, giving an exposure of 3% of the fund's assets. We wish to assure the unit holders that whereas there was exceedance in the investment limit, this did not impact the fund's risk profile or returns. The fund continues to maintain its investment approach. We also confirm that there were no deviations from any of the provisions of the trust deed and those of the regulation. For and on behalf of the trustee, and then remember that the Britam runs several funds, so this one is also a report for the umbrella yield fund. So in accordance with section 121 subsection 1 and subsection 2 of the collective investment scheme in trust regulations 2003 of Uganda, we KCB Bank Uganda Limited, in our capacity as trustee of the Britam Umbrella Yield Fund, the fund hereby confirm that as part of our fiduciary responsibility and ensuring regulatory compliance, we noted a breach in the investment limit in fixed deposits. The fund's exposure to fixed deposits was at 10.4% against the scheme particulars limit of 10%, giving an exposure of 0.4% of the fund's assets. We wish to assure the unit holders that whereas there was exceedance in the investment limit, this did not impact the fund's risk profile or returns. The fund continues to maintain its investment approach. We also confirm that there were no deviations from any of the provisions of the trust deed and those of the regulations. Next one, please. Okay, this is for the Britam Money Market Fund. In accordance with the section 121 subsection 1, subsection 2 of the Collective Investment Scheme in Trusts Regulations 2003 of Uganda, we KCB Bank Uganda Limited, in our capacity as trustee of the Britam Money Market Fund, the fund hereby confirm that as part of our fiduciary responsibility and ensuring regulatory compliance, we noted a breach in the investment limit in the fixed deposits. The fund's exposure to fixed deposits was at 13.8%. The scheme particulars limit against the scheme particulars limit of 10%, giving an exposure of 3.8% of the fund's assets. We wish to assure you, the unit holders, that whereas there was exceedance in the investment limit, this did not impact the fund's risk profile or returns. The fund continues to maintain its investment approach. We further confirm that there were no deviations from any of the provisions of the trust deed and those of the regulations. Next. And this is now the USD denominated fund in accordance with section 121 subsection 1 and 2 of the Collective Investment Schemes Unit Trust Regulations 2003 of Uganda. We KCB Bank Uganda Limited, in our capacity as trustee of the Britam Fixed Income Money Market Fund USD, the fund hereby confirm that to the best of our knowledge, Britam Asset Managers Company Uganda Limited, the manager of the unit trust, has managed the fund in accordance with the limitations imposed on the investment and borrowing powers of the manager and trustee by the trust deed, by the scheme particulars, and by all the regulations for the time being in force under section 31 of the Collective Investment Schemes Act of Uganda, and further confirm that there were no deviations from any of the provisions of the trust deed and those of the regulations. We signed off for and on behalf of the trustee, KCB Bank Uganda Limited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick, for that overview. I would like now to invite one of our custodians, Standard Chartered, which is represented by Ms. Roslyn Ochola, to read us their confirmation.
Thank you,
You're
Chair.
welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. In accordance with the Investment Schemes Unit Trust Regulations of 2003 and the custody agreement, we do confirm we have discharged the duties prescribed for a custodian under the regulations and trust deed of Britam Umbrella Fund, the Britam Money Market Fund, Britam Fixed Income Money Market US Dollar Fund for the year ended 31st December 2025. We have held the assets of the funds, including securities and income that accrue thereof, to the order of the trustee, and facilitated transfer, exchange, or delivery in accordance with the instructions received from the fund manager.
Thank you, Roslyn. I now invite our other custodian, Stanbic Bank, represented by Mr. Pascal Magoba, to read their confirmation. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Chair. Good morning. My name is Pascal Magoba from Stanbic Custody Team, and just to present a statement. So in accordance with the Collective Investment Scheme Regulations 2003 of Uganda, and the custody agreement held between Stanbic Bank Limited and Britam Asset Managers Limited, the fund managers, who have discharged duties prescribed for a custodian under the regulations and the Britam under Britam Fixed Income Money Market Unit Trust Scheme deed and the laws. So for the year ended 31st December 2025, we've held the assets for Britam Fixed Income Money Market Fund Unit Trust Scheme, including the securities and income thereof, to the order of the fund manager and facilitate the transfer, exchange, delivery, and in accordance with the instructions received from the fund manager. We confirm that we've effected the sale, redemption, cancellation of units in accordance with the creation and liquidation instructions received from the fund manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal. So we now move on to the next agenda item, which is adoption of the audited financial statements. The annual audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2025, including the reports of the external auditor, the custodians, and the trustee, have been represented to the unit holders as seen before. The unit holders have already been given an opportunity to ask questions and seek clarifications in regard to the financial statements and resolutions being presented and proposed. Responses were earlier on provided to unit holders who had asked and who had asked questions prior and sought clarifications in regard to the notice for this meeting. However, I earlier on called upon the unit trust holders that if you had any other questions, you post it on the chat and we will give an opportunity to have a Q&A session. We shall now proceed to address some of the questions received, and here are some of the questions that we were able to receive, and I'll call upon Peace. I'll ask her to be able to provide responses to these questions. This first question was, how have the funds performed relative to its benchmark and peers over the past years? Number two, what key factors drove the fund's performance, both positive and negative? Number three, what is your outlook for the next 12 to 24 months, and how is the fund positioned to take advantage or mitigate the market risks? Number four, are there any expected changes in taxation or accounting standards that could impact results? Ms. Peace, kindly proceed to answer to the said questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Allow me to invite our investment team and our finance manager to be able to address these different questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Peace. On the first question of how the fund has performed relative to its benchmark and peers over the years, we do note that the different funds, the money market, umbrella, the FIM, fixed income money market, the UGX and USD have outperformed the benchmarks. And also, if you do a comparison between each fund against its similar fund in the market, you realize that the returns you do provide to the unit holders are competitive and based on the market. I think the key thing to note here is when comparing Britam funds to other funds in the market is to compare fund to a similar fund of the same like and structure. So if, for example, if you are comparing the money market fund, it's prudent that you look at a similar money market fund in the market for you to be able to appreciate the rate we are giving in terms of on the money market fund, and the same for the umbrella, FIM, UGX, and the USD. And then the other question was on the factors that drove the fund's performance during the year. Here, the factors were mostly tied to the broader economic market developments. Here, we did see that inflation was contained during the year, and then we also saw that government rates were went high a bit. This was mostly because of the election season, which was coming. This helped to kind of boost the returns, which we did give to our unit holders during the year. And then on the outlook for the next 12 to 16 months, our outlook is mostly currently the things we are closely monitoring, the ongoing geopolitical tension, Iran, Israel, US. We have seen that this has affected the oil supply, and oil touches lots and parts of the economy, because it does affect the transportation, which affects all other sectors of the economy. So it's one area we are closely monitoring. The other one is the anticipated oil production, which is supposed to kick off. We do anticipate that once this oil revenue starts coming through, it will help to boost on the economic growth, which will help to improve on the activity and also activity of the economy, and also reduce on the fiscal pressures that we face as a country. Thank you.
Thank you, Peace. On the fourth question, on whether there are any changes in taxation or accounting standards that could impact results for the funds. For this one, what's key to note is that all the 4 funds under Britam, the Britam Unit Trust, are exempted from tax on the interest that we generate for the unit holders. For the year 2026, we do not expect that there are any changes that are going to significantly impact the results of the funds from the taxation end, but then also from accounting standards.
Thank you, Rona and Elvis. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Peace and team, for those clarifications. I think unit holders, we are abreast with what is happening, and I would like to thank you for your questions. However, it is important to note that we are not able to respond to all the questions in the chat. However, we encourage you to continue sending in all your questions, and the team will be able to receive all of them and collate them, and responses will be shared and published on the website after this meeting. Thank you. Unit holders, we shall now proceed to the voting session for the first and second resolutions of the meeting. The resolution shall be passed by a poll, and all unit holders who registered for the meeting will receive prompts to cast their votes. I shall now read the resolution to the meeting. The resolution is 1. To receive, consider, and if deemed fit, adopt the annual report and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2021, together with the auditor's report thereon. Anthony, who is our company secretary, do we have proposers and seconders for the resolutions for all the funds?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair, we do have proposers and seconders for the resolution. And for the first fund, which is the money market fund, we do have a proposal from Mr. Alex Makata and a secondment from Ms. Anne Nalwoga. For the umbrella yield fund, we do have a proposal in Ms. Gift Chomogisha and a seconder in Artemat Barbara. Thank you. For the other 2 funds, which is the fixed income money market UGX, we do have Ms. Molly Namanya, who proposes, and then seconded by Claire Pamwine. Thank you. The last fund, which is the UGX fund, the USD fund, sorry, fixed income money market USD, we do have a proposal from Ms. Grace Akinyi and a secondment from Mr. Biamgisha Frank. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, unit holders. I will now ask the company secretary to confirm if there are any other business for discussion for which due notice was given.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I wish to confirm that no matter for which due notice has been given to the office of the company secretary. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no other business for which due notice was given, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has attended this AGM. I want to extend our gratitude to Golden Tulip for the facility and the hall we have been able to have this virtual meeting today. I'd like to extend thanks to the entire Britam team that has been part of this. Thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful virtual meeting where we've been able to ascertain the validity of our funds. I would like to also thank DVI Production Limited for your support. We've not had any glitches, even as we had this virtual meeting. So well done on that front. The meeting, I'm sure, has been a success. And with that being said, I want to thank everyone, the unit holders, for tuning in and listening in to matters to do with our funds. And I think we are content that business is moving on well, and I call upon to continue investing more in this area. With that, I conclude the business of the 7th Annual General Meeting. I thank you for your attendance, and I declare the meeting officially closed. On that note, I would like to invite Collins Namanya Mark to give us a closing prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for all our attendees online and those who are able to honor our invites on the podium. Let's have a closing prayer. Please humble yourselves. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for a smooth and great meeting. We hope that we have answered most of the questions of our investors, of our different stakeholders, and we hope that we continue this great relationship between our custodians, our trustees, our different stakeholders, our regulator, and all the Ugandans at large. Bless and give us journey mercies wherever we are going from here, and hopefully everyone will be alive in great health and great spirit in the next general meeting that we shall have next year. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.